Is this the day I get in trouble? Why did the third world learn to cry racism? By basic logic. Basic logic. One of the best new channels on YouTube. I love it. Well, not new. I think he's been around for a while, but like it's like he's popping. Basically, he's popping.
Over the last year, the town known as Orania has been going viral. Orania, for those of you unaware, is a lone, self-sufficient town in the middle of the arid Karoo region in South Africa.
Oh God.
It was settled by Afrikaners, that is the descendants of mainly Dutch settlers, with the goal of preserving their identity. In a country that's been characterized by rampant crime, failing infrastructure, and overall decline, the Afrikaners of Orania were able to take a dilapidated plot of land with nothing else than their own grit, no government welfare, no subsidies, not even relying on a nation's power grid, and build that up into a nice place for themselves and their families, without having to...
Let me guess. We was the fixers of this place.
to rely or take from anyone else. So naturally, the remainder of the country, which had the entire nation's territory, natural resources, and advanced infrastructure, and ruined it all, and didn't even care about Orania up until the Afrikaners made it into a nice place, have decided that they want a peace. They allege that the Afrikaners, by practicing their right to freedom of association, are actually a second form of apartheid, a town of racists for daring to try to preserve their unique identity and the fruits of their labor. They allege that they, as fellow South Africans, are entitled to Orania, and the Afrikaners must accommodate.
Oh my God. I'm telling you right now, the deepest rot in our society is entitlement. The sense of entitlement, the sense of envy is the biggest, deepest rot in our society. And this explains, all of socialism comes from this, by the way.
Or in other words, give them stuff. And if the Afrikaners refuse, the state ought to get involved and force them to. You see similar allegations all over the West. Arguments are made to justify why Westerners must associate with groups they otherwise wouldn't want to. Why their resources, which they acquired through their own labor, must be shared with the third world. Why their laws and customs must be changed to accommodate those who are supposed to be assimilating.
You want to know what I did today, chat? I spent like a good hour just in thought, and I was thinking about specifically if ethnostates are good things. Because you know how I had that guy on the guy on Rumble? I was like, I really spent some time thinking about it because you know, I do that, or like if I have a disagreement with someone, I try to like think about, okay, well, like maybe I'm wrong here, so like let me think about it, right? So I sat there like thinking about it for a really long time, and like maybe I'll give you guys the answer to that later. And I actually bounced back and forth between it being good and being bad like multiple times before I came to the final conclusion on it, which I think I should do a video on that, honestly.
But many have pointed out a strange irony. The people making these arguments and allegations against the West don't hold...
Is it a total... Okay, so the thing is the problem... So originally I thought... I thought if you have an ethnostate specifically, then at least you won't have any sort of racism, right? Like if we were able to like if I could redesign the world, like where I just would be like, there's like a wall, like Attack on Titan wall, and I just put all the different races like in their own little like Attack on Titan like walls, and then prevent them from like talking except for like maybe a few merchants or whatever, and then that go between each city, but they're completely walled off. And then I thought about it and I was like, that's actually not really a good idea. And the reason why is because the truth is humans crave the enemy. They crave the enemy and they crave the racism, like, to be honest. And so like the thing is if you put all of like, let's just say like theoretically you put all of white people into like one, first off, what the fuck does that even mean, right? Like what does that even mean, all white people? But like say you did take quote unquote all white people and put them into like one big city, then it would be like say that there was ethnically, let's just go with English. Let's just take like English people. You took all the English people and you put them in a city, right? Then it would be well, you know what? Are you, so I know you're English, but are you one of them big nosed English people? Or are you one of those tiny nosed English people? Or are you the English people with the big foreheads? Like, it would then again turn into like another version of it, but just like within that group. No, I'm not talking about Jews. I'm not talking about Jews, but like what I'm talking about is like people will take some other characteristic that they could use, and then they would then break themselves into groups on that characteristic as well. So it's like, I was thinking like that might not be the solution then, right? So, but the problem is, right, is it's an easy solution to say like, oh, well, you know, everybody, you know, this particular group has like better civilizational alignment. Like they're more aligned towards civilizational growth and like growth of like technology and just in general, like civilization, like they're good civilization builders, right? And it was like, so I was thinking like, fuck, I lost my train of thought. Where was I going with that? Humans hate humans. Yeah. Well, no. Well, there are some benefits. To diversity. I'm like trying to be like real here, right? There are some benefits in that there are certain perspectives that do come up with novel solutions, but the novel solutions, they have like novel like things, but then it's kind of like there's also negatives involved with that. Like obviously with certain cultures, like they bring like their cultural negatives to the table as well. I did that thing where like I had like an entire flowchart and I lost it. I lost the flowchart in my head. Like the thread unraveled. The people who are good at civilizational building. That's where I was. Where was I going with that? I had a reason I said that. Oh, I remember now. Okay. So basically the idea is, what is the best? The best is obviously, so here's like the tier list, right? It's not really a tier list, but it's kind of orders of like magnitude of like better. The best case scenario is that we're able to preserve like point of view diversity. Obviously not racial. I don't really care about that. I mean, point of view diversity. We're able to like maintain that in order to have more novel ideas and like better novel ideas. This is the important part. Novel ideas gets us like better technology and stuff like that, right? So now the problem is, other than that, what is like other than that, right? You have total ethnostate, and then you have let them all in, right? Like what's the word for that? Open borders, let them all in, fuck it, right? Let them all in, fuck it is by far the worst. It's like, it's so bad. Like it is by far the worst because it allows it basically incentivizes people who drain the system and people that abuse the rules. It's like best for those people, right? So if that's what you see, which is what we have now, right? What we have now is that, right? We're putting the wall up and we're kind of stemming the tides. But before Trump, when we had Biden, it was 100% let everybody in, like, fuck it. Like, you know, just open the floodgates and let everyone. And they're doing this in Europe too, right? So if your experience is just that, then the idea becomes, well, why don't we have ethnostate? Because that's better. Do you see what I mean? So it's not like the ideal solution, but it's the easy solution, right? And the reason it's easy is because you can easily identify like who should get out, right? Because otherwise, in like the other scenario, which I'm talking about, which is like the preferred scenario, in my opinion, like it has like the best results, you would have to vet every single person, right? So there's a lot of manpower that is like required to actually do that, because now you have to vet every person that comes in. You have to like have the law enforcement in order to like block people, and you have to be able to check people, right? You have to be able to like individually check people for culture and things like that, if like they're actually compatible. Whereas it's really, really easy to just be like, your skin is this color, get the fuck out. Do you see what I mean? So like the ethnostate thing becomes really, really appealing when you're subjected completely to the floodgates, like, let's flood this place. Do you see what I mean? So like, it becomes really appealing because they're like, well, it's just easy. And again, I'm not saying that this is ideal, but like, I'm trying to understand their point of view. You see what I mean? I'm trying to understand the point of view of people that want that. It makes a lot of sense to be like, well, it's just very easy. It's an expedient mode of operation. It is. It's very like, it's a easy to identify targets, basically. Very, very easy. I'm English, so I'm all for ethnicity right now. It's rough here. Well, yeah, because you're subjected to the other thing, right, Mirson over on Kick? You're subjected to the thing I was talking about of like pure floodgates, like open the floodgates, let everyone in. You're being subjected to that, and you're seeing the negative effects to that, so that your thought immediately is like, let's do the easiest thing right now to fix it. Anyway, like this, I wasn't supposed to talk about this in this video, but I just kind of wanted to explain like my surface level thoughts on the thing, because I was thinking about it a bunch. I was thinking about like why people think that, and it's interesting. Yeah.
Their own nations do the same standards. The West must be diverse, but
this is why the pendulum is swinging in both directions. 100%. This is 100% what's going on. Is that there's a lot of people, and I'm not even saying that they're necessarily wrong in the sense that like it would fix the immediate problem, right? Because it would. So that's why you have a lot of people who are like, this is the easy solution. We should just do this, because they're tired. They're very, very fatigued at like all of the bullshit that like we've been subjected to previously. And so that's what's causing it, basically. And again, I'm not saying like I agree with their prescription. I don't think it's the right solution, but a lot of people just want it over with. Like they want something to prevent the worst case scenario from happening. And like it is the easier version of like the ideal, basically, is what I'm saying. It's not quite ideal, but it's easy.
The same standards. The West must be diverse, but their homes remain homogeneous. The West must redistribute their resources, but their homes do not. The West cannot discriminate against them, but they can against us.
Yeah,
so what's going on here? Is it just plain hypocrisy, or is there something more to it?
Can you describe the ideal solution? The ideal solution is that we work off of high information. And I think like I was actually thinking about this. Sorry. This is like a huge tangent. I was thinking of the solution for this, and one thing I was thinking of is that AI might actually be able to help us get that, right? Because the problem is work hours, right? And if we have AI, we can accelerate that by using AI to actually like like in a as little bias as possible. We can have AI actually like analyze like the actual percentages that we can't really see very easily, to determine like whether or not a certain person, based on the information that we have on them, is actually going to be a good person to like have in society, in our society rather.
And if you enjoyed, consider subscribing. It helps the channel. Societies regulate human behavior on the basis...
I like Powder's solution, make white babies. That's a very simple solution. And I'm all for people having white babies or whatever. Like basically I'm all for people who are civilization forward, like people that will basically build civilization. I'm all about those people reproducing. The thing is that's not the only thing. And I probably should make a music video on this because it's a really important point. It's not good enough to just have babies, because the problem is, okay, you have to see this entire thing as a biological system, or like as a system of itself and living organisms, right? So civilization, think of civilization as like a life form, and like culture as a life form, right? And when you think of it like that, you can see that certain cultures only reproduce like viruses, basically. Like they're literally pathogens. They're cultural mimetic pathogens, okay? And if you have kids, but you don't inoculate them against that, then they get instantly blown up. Like they go to like school, or they become young adults, instantly blown up, dead. Like they just instantly turn into like fucking zombies, basically. So like you can't only have kids, you have to also culturally protect them so that they don't get one shot by all of the cultural pathogens. I'm not just talking about something like extreme Islam. That's not the only one. I'm talking about wokeism. I'm talking about even far right Kwangoism. I'm also talking about things like them being stuck in like an OnlyFans loop, where they're just, you know, your daughter's being stuck in OnlyFans and your son's being stuck fapping to people on OnlyFans. Like these are all things that can one shot them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is like these cultural pathogens, they infect your children and then blow them up. So you have to inoculate them. If your whole entire thing is just have kids, then and you don't take any of these protective measures, you're literally increasing the ranks of the enemy, because they're gonna chrysalid your kids, and then your kids are gonna turn into chrysalids.
Of 3 negative emotions. Societies regulate human behavior on the basis of 3 negative emotions: fear, shame, and guilt. Westerners follow a guilt-based society. Social regulation is primarily based on the psychological pain of breaking one's own principles, and only when that fails does law enforcement come in. While this is normal for the West, and many think it's normal for the whole world, this is the exception, not the rule. Guilt-based societies are only possible in advanced, often religious, and highly homogeneous societies, so that people's individual principles are close enough for there to be an understanding. Most societies are shame-based, meaning regulation is primarily based on the pain of social ostracization if one goes against the clan's values. Despite it being the most common, it
I think America's better than Japan, by the way. I know, hot take.
still requires some advancement, and at minimum a homogeneous society, so that the same clans actually have power over the largest number of individuals. And lastly, the most primal form is fear. Fear-based societies are the least advanced and least conducive to a prosperous.
By the way, this is why I said earlier that people who are fear-based, they only respond to fear, which is why you have to increase the penalties for like committing any crime. Right, because you have to make them fear doing the crime more than they enjoy the pleasure of committing it. And by committing it, I mean like the rewards of committing it.
Nation. But their advantage is that they work anywhere, regardless of circumstance. In fear-based societies, the only calculations are, if I do X, then others will hurt me, so it's not worth it. And if someone else does X against me, I will hurt them, so they won't do it. Such a straightforward system means you have no need for homogeneity. You can integrate whoever you want because values don't matter, only strength does. For obvious reasons, people don't like the system. It's inefficient and its might makes right. The issue is when you break homogeneity in a society so much to the point where aligned principles and clan values can't enforce.
This is what I mean by people that aren't compatible. Is if they are that fear-based society, they're not compatible with a guilt-based society.
Fear is automatically in charge. You can moralize all you want, it doesn't matter. When there are too many different peoples with competing value systems, it's what you get. It's the same reason we don't waste our time trying to moralize carnivores versus herbivores in the wild. Herbivores put a lot of effort into being able to digest plants and create the necessary nutrients from it. It's hard work, requiring extensive specialization. A different animal, which is struggling to get the nutrients they want, could also maybe, over many generations, adapt to be able to produce those same nutrients as the herbivores. But that's difficult. Wouldn't it just be easier to just take the already processed nutrients forcefully? Is it immoral?
I mean, that's a little bit simple way to go about it too. I mean, like competition wise like that, like predators would evolve because of there not being enough of the resource. There not being enough of the resource. So then like predators would naturally evolve to like take advantage of the new resource, which is like herbivores.
Some species have adapted to be carnivores. Is it immoral that some have adapted so much towards carnivory that they are actually fully unable to digest plants and have to prey on other animals to survive? When it comes to such situations, the question of morality is irrelevant. The only question that matters is if it's easier. Herbivores will be eaten by carnivores if they don't have the means to defend themselves.
Yeah.
The same is true for the plants that the herbivores eat.
That's true. That's why plants are all fucking poisonous. They all fucking hate you, man, these plants. We had to specifically breed them to be as like as easy on us as possible.
Because others already worked hard to get something valuable, it's simply more
the fucking arms race,
to
man.
take that than make it yourself. You can argue that if we were all photosynthesizing plants, we'd have the most energy efficient situation.
So fucking the Knights of Sidonia
in hunting or defending, and everyone will be able to self-sustain. And that's true.
No, that's actually not true. That's actually not true because what's going to happen is you're gonna have so even plants compete with each other in terms of like the actual canopy space. This like phenomenon of like competition occurs in like everything. By the way, this occurs in like in plants. It occurs in animals, like plants, herbivores, carnivores. It also applies to culture. Also applies to like market and business. Like this one, it's really fascinating. It's like the same sort of system is like in everything in this world. It's wild.
But also irrelevant. Some are simply not capable of learning to photosynthesize. Some are capable, but get far greater immediate rewards by not doing so. Naturally, this concept extends beyond just plants and animals. Whenever you make something desirable that's hard to make, you're incentivizing others to take it from you, because it's easier to take than to make it themselves. This is true for valuable craftsmanship, for architectural wonders, for hard to extract resources, and for civilization itself. And if they don't share your personal principles, or they don't follow your clan's rulings, then they will act upon this principle. Not because they're evil, at least not in the way we define it, but because it's easier. You see, in fear-based situations, moral language doesn't apply. It isn't even comprehensible. Which begs the video's original question. If moral language doesn't apply, why is it constantly used against the West in a hypocritical fashion? The answer is simple. Why do cats mimic the sounds of birds? The cat neither understands the sound they are making, nor do they understand the mechanism by which it gains the trust of birds. All they know is, by making those sounds, the birds lower their guard. Likewise, when they cry racism, discrimination, etc., they know they get resources, welfare, and preferential treatment by the authorities. They don't really—
Chad, is he literally making the demon Freeran argument? Holy fuck.
They understand why. If anything, they probably think it's stupid, but it works, so there's no reason not to. When Westerners who oppose this behavior try to lecture the third world, demanding consistent standards, pointing out that they have no right to judge the West's history, when their own are often way worse, it's the same as a bird trying to teach a cat that the sounds they are mimicking are false statements. It's pointless. The bird's only concerns should be to maintain its guard and make sure other birds don't fall for it. That should be obvious. But there's one other, less apparent concern the bird must also consider. Given how complex its moral language and value system is, it's unlikely the cat would have learned to exploit it on their own, especially in such a short time period. So that begs the uncomfortable question of who taught them? And what did they gain by doing so?
Wait, what is that, like a cliffhanger? To admit foreigners indiscriminately to the rights of citizens would be nothing less than to admit the Trojan horse into the citadel of our liberty and sovereignty. True, 100%. 100% true, yeah.
Taught them. And what did they gain by doing so? Over the last year, the town...
So the cliffhanger, the obvious reason is power, is because they're manipulatable. Because people who are fear-based and are more, let's just say, people who are less philosophically inclined, let's just say that, okay? We're just gonna say that. People who are less philosophically inclined are very easy to control. And they're very easy to control because you can control fear. If you control fear and pleasure, then you can control them. So like if you're like an evil philosophically inclined person, you could then use this to your advantage because it increases your power. So then all they would have to do is manipulate the fear and pleasure. And if they manipulate fear and pleasure, they control all of those people. But yeah, I think that's what the next one's going to be about, is like who's actually the people that are controlling it, which is people who want power. Wait, unscrupulous people, unscrupulous people who actually aren't retard, because it does take being a little bit more crafty to actually do that. But sorry, the thing I was saying earlier was that by guilt, it means that people who have guilt, they self-regulate. And I guess like some people, no, that's not true actually. Because what I was gonna say is that you can say that the fear goes all the way to the top with people who are people that have like religious morality. You could see that they feel that they have fear of God, which is the reason that they're good. But like for me, it's not really like that. And like, I might just be a weirdo. I don't know. I just might be a weirdo. I'm more driven. I'm driven by the prospect of being a part of the greater future. Like I'm driven by like being like a cog in the machine that drives humanity forward, to then use that to love what God loves, to continue human civilization. That's what drives me, not really fear. So like, I'd imagine that it must be like that for a lot of other people too. God fearing doesn't literally mean God fearing. No. I'm not talking about the phrase God fearing. But there definitely are people that are like, well, I have to be good because if I don't, God will smite me and delete my account. There definitely are people that think that, and that's why they're good. They're good specifically for fear reasons. But I don't think everyone that is religious is good for fear reasons. As in, like, what is the source? What is the source of what drives you? Because if the source for if the source for what drives you is purely like physical pleasure or physical like physical pain, fear, then like you're easily manipulatable, right? Because all you have to do is present those people with something really scary or something that feels really good. And then if you can do that, you can control them. Fear is a lower level motivation, higher level motivations are love. Yes. Anyway, I can't wait to see. Wait, is the new one out yet? This just came out. I need the new one. The new one comes out on Sunday. Dude, I gotta watch that. If you guys want to check out the channel, at Basic Logic IQ.